Wrong to assume that the whole story of radioactivity is one of controversy over nuclear power and the danger of radioactive waste. Radioactive materials have turned out to be quite useful to us. This reactor is used to produce small quantities of special radioactive substances called isotopes. Making isotopes is quite a big business. These radioactive substances are carefully checked and packed before being sent out to the customers. Customers like local water authorities. They use radioactive isotopes as markers. A radioactive substance is added carefully to a quantity of water, which is then added to a source of pollution. Later on, and further downstream, the radioactivity can be easily measured. In that way, scientists are able to follow the movement of the pollution by following the movement of the radioactivity. This factory makes paper and uses thousands of tons of expensive wood pulp every week. It's important to make the process work as efficiently as possible. The thickness of the paper is measured by the amount of radiation it absorbs. Constant checking by computer keeps the whole factory running as efficiently as possible. Radioactivity has an important part to play in maintaining the beautiful Parthenon and the other surrounding buildings which make up the Acropolis. Many years ago, there were fears that the buildings might fall down completely, so they were strengthened by putting in hundreds of steel rods. But recently, the rods have caused cracking. The problem was finding the rods again. A gamma radiation source proved to be the answer. Gamma radiation can pass right through the stones to be picked up on large sheets of photographic paper on the other side. When the paper was developed, the cracks showed up clearly. And so did the steel bars. Once the bars were found, the engineers could remove and replace them, saving the Acropolis for the enjoyment of future generations. Of course, by far the biggest use of radioactive materials is in nuclear power stations for the large-scale production of electricity. In the core, the heart of a reactor, some very violent processes are happening. Small particles from atoms of radioactive materials bump into other atoms. The atoms split up and give out more particles. In turn, these hit other atoms. And so the process goes on. This is called a chain reaction. Out of control, it would lead to very high temperatures. But in a reactor, it's not out of control. The radioactive material is surrounded by a substance which slows down the particles. But that would not be enough to stop the reactor overheating. So the reaction is further controlled by putting in rods which only allow 1 in 3 of the particles to get through. There are all sorts of arguments for and against the use of nuclear power to produce electricity. But as we've seen, there's at least one big problem: the treatment of the used fuel and the removal of the waste.